Have you ever wondered why the quietest people often hold the loudest truths? Why those who walk alone seem to carry a power the crowd can't touch? Welcome to Seductive Wisdom. In today's video, you're not just going to hear about loners, you're going to understand them, their silence, their strength, and why you should never underestimate someone who finds peace in being alone. Let's begin. They don't fear being alone, they choose it. While others constantly seek company, validation, or attention, loners move with a different rhythm. They find clarity where others feel discomfort. This ability to sit in silence, to think without distraction, becomes a foundation of self-awareness most people never reach. Solitude isn't their prison, it's their sanctuary. Time alone teaches them to rely on themselves. They solve their own problems, regulate their emotions, and make decisions without external noise. That kind of emotional self-sufficiency is rare. It's what makes them unshakable in the face of manipulation or pressure. They're not looking for approval, so they can't be easily swayed. They observe instead of react. In a room full of noise, they stay silent, absorbing everything. People often underestimate them because they're quiet, but they see more than they show. Their minds are sharp, and when they speak, it's often with insight that cuts straight through the surface. They don't just know themselves, they understand others. Alone time gives them the space to reflect on human behavior, patterns, and emotions. They often sense motives before words are spoken. This intuitive intelligence makes them powerful in relationships, work, and life, even if they choose to stay behind the scenes. What many call antisocial, loners call focused. They're not avoiding people. They're protecting their peace, while others scatter their energy trying to be everywhere and please everyone. Loners direct their energy inward. This focus creates results. It builds strength, and it gives them an edge that's quiet, but undeniable. Most people see solitude as emptiness. Loners see it as space, room to grow, think, and evolve. It's where they reset and recharge. In that silence, they become more than what the world expects of them. It's not loneliness, it's preparation. They aren't hiding from life, they're mastering it in private. They don't rely on constant communication or interaction. Their energy comes from within, not from external sources. Because of this, their self-esteem is not easily shaken. Criticism doesn't destroy them. Praise doesn't inflate them. They move with a steady confidence that's rooted in reality, not opinion. They value authenticity over popularity. You won't see them chasing trends or trying to fit in. Their identity is crafted through thought, not approval. That makes their presence rare, and their absence even more powerful. They don't need to be seen to feel significant. They are deeply creative, often without flaunting it. Their imagination flourishes in solitude. Many writers, artists, and thinkers are loners for this reason. The quiet allows them to hear their own thoughts clearly, and from that, they create things that touch the world, even if they never stand in the spotlight. Their strength doesn't come from noise, but from stillness. They've faced the mirror, sat with their fears, and chosen growth. That kind of inner work can't be faked. And when they walk into a room, even in silence, you can feel it. They're not just comfortable alone, they're powerful because of it. They don't talk much, but they notice everything. While others fill the air with noise, they're quietly watching, processing, analyzing. Every gesture, tone, and reaction gets stored in their mental archive. This gives them an incredible ability to read people, often seeing what's hidden beneath the surface. Their silence isn't a lack of interest, it's focused awareness. Their minds operate in layers. They don't just see what's in front of them, they look deeper. A casual glance, a nervous laugh, or a forced smile tells them stories. They're rarely surprised because they've already sensed what's coming. People mistake their quietness for detachment, but in reality, they're simply gathering more than they're giving away. Their observational strength also protects them. They pick up on manipulation, dishonesty, and hidden intentions before others even realize something's wrong. This makes them hard to fool. While some people walk blindly into traps, loners see the signs long before they're set. Their environment is their data. Whether it's body language, energy shifts, or subtle patterns, they're always absorbing. This doesn't mean they're paranoid. It means they're prepared. They don't react impulsively because they already understand the game before it begins. Over time, this gift of observation becomes second nature. It helps them navigate relationships, workplaces, and even conflicts with a quiet confidence. They don't need to dominate a conversation to control the direction. It's often enough for them to listen, understand, and strike only when it matters. They stand on their own. Emotionally, mentally, and even socially, they're not dependent on anyone to feel whole. This independence can be misunderstood as coldness, but it's actually strength. They've learned to be their own source of comfort, motivation, and validation. Because they don't rely on others to define them, they move with freedom. They don't alter themselves to fit in or to be liked. Their actions come from choice, not pressure. That makes them unpredictable to those who are used to manipulating people with approval or rejection. Their decisions are made from reflection, not reaction. When something goes wrong, they don't run to someone else for answers. They turn inward. This process might take time, but it builds resilience. Once they've healed or made a decision, it's solid. They won't waver. Relationships don't define them. They enhance them. They value connection, but not at the cost of their identity. They're not afraid to walk away from anything that disrupts their peace. That silent strength makes them both difficult to control and deeply respected by those who understand. Their emotional independence also allows them to support others without losing themselves. They don't get consumed by drama or drained by chaos. They bring calm, clarity, and stability, and that makes them the kind of presence that others gravitate toward. When the world feels too loud, they don't chase attention. When they speak, it's with purpose. They skip small talk, preferring conversations that spark thought, meaning, or truth. To them, silence is better than empty words. Their language is intentional, and their presence speaks even louder than their voice. You might find them quiet in a group, but that doesn't mean they lack ideas. In fact, their minds are constantly active. They process deeply, reflect on meaning, and only speak when there's something valuable to add. When they do, it's often profound and unexpected. Because they don't talk just to fill space, people often lean in when they do share. Their words carry weight, and others sense that. It's not about volume, it's about depth. They'd rather say one powerful sentence than 100 forgettable ones. Their conversations aren't for entertainment, they're for connection. They seek out people who can meet them at a deeper level. This makes their relationships fewer but far more fulfilling. They don't waste time on shallow interaction when they know how powerful true understanding can be. What sets them apart is that they're not afraid of silence. Most people rush to fill it, but loners sit in it comfortably. That calmness is magnetic. It creates space for real thoughts, real emotion, and real connection. Something the world desperately needs more of. They don't allow everyone in. Their boundaries are solid, even if unspoken. You won't hear them constantly explaining themselves or justifying their choices. They know what's right for them, and they stick to it, quietly but firmly. If someone disrespects their limits, they don't argue. They withdraw. They'd rather walk away than beg for respect. Their silence in those moments isn't weakness, it's power. It shows they're not afraid of losing people who don't value them. Their boundaries aren't just about keeping others out. They're about protecting their peace. They know how quickly chaos can creep in, and they guard their space like something sacred. That protection is what allows them to thrive, even in a noisy world. Because they value their energy, they choose where to invest it. Not every event, conversation, or person deserves their time. This selectiveness often confuses people who expect constant availability. But for the loner, self-respect is more important than pleasing others. Their quiet boundaries command a deep kind of respect. Even those who don't understand them can't ignore the strength in how they move. They may not raise their voice, but they always make their line clear, and they never apologize for drawing it. You can't guilt-trip someone who isn't afraid to walk alone. People who enjoy solitude aren't easily pulled into emotional traps. They're not desperate for attention, so manipulation tactics like silent treatment or exclusion don't affect them the same way. They see through it, and they detach with ease. Their self-worth isn't tied to being accepted or liked. That makes them immune to games that others play to control or influence. When someone tries to push their buttons, the loner remains calm, often unfazed. That silence is not confusion, it's calculation, and it's often followed by distance. Because they think independently, they don't fall for groupthink. Popular opinions or peer pressure don't guide them. They question, analyze, and make choices based on what aligns with their values, not on what's trending or expected. That independence makes them solid and hard to deceive. They don't fear being alone after cutting ties. That's what makes them powerful. Most people stay in toxic situations because they fear loneliness. But loners are comfortable with solitude, so they walk away without hesitation when something threatens their peace. In conflict, they rarely overreact. Instead of being drawn into drama or emotional chaos, they quietly assess and exit if necessary. You'll never see them begging or chasing. Their strength lies in knowing they don't need anyone to complete them. And that makes them impossible to control. They don't need crowds to feel connected. Their relationships are few, but they're deep. If you're close to a loner, it's because you've earned your place. They don't open their doors easily, and when they do, it's built on trust, not convenience or habit. Their loyalty runs deep. Once they bond with someone, it's authentic. They don't fake affection or pretend interest. They're all in, or not at all. That level of sincerity is rare, and those who experience it know its value. But it also means betrayal cuts deep. Because they invest emotionally with intention, they don't tolerate games or dishonesty. One lie, one break in trust, and they're gone. Not out of anger, but because they refuse to stay where they're not respected. Their silence after betrayal is permanent. They don't spread their energy thin. You won't find them hopping from one friend group to another. They keep their circle small and strong. Quality over quantity isn't a motto for them. It's a lifestyle, and it brings them peace most people never find. Even in the absence of constant communication, their bonds remain strong. Loners don't need to talk every day to stay connected. When they show up, it's real. And when they choose you, it's for the right reasons, never out of loneliness or fear of being alone. While many run from silence, loners run toward it. In solitude, they reflect, dissect their thoughts, and uncover truths about themselves and the world. This inner work isn't glamorous, but it's transformational. They emerge from silence stronger, clearer, and more aligned with who they really are. Growth for them isn't loud. It's not about public milestones or constant updates. It happens in the quiet corners of their life. Reading, journaling, thinking, evolving. They're not seeking applause, they're seeking progress. And that mindset gives them an edge that's subtle but undeniable. They use solitude as a tool. While others waste time trying to escape themselves, loners sit with their emotions, face their fears, and untangle their thoughts. This inner mastery builds resilience and emotional depth that makes them both grounded and wise beyond their years. They're often ahead not because they rush, but because they reflect. They don't repeat mistakes often because they process them thoroughly. Every setback becomes a lesson. Every silence becomes a step forward. That quiet discipline sets them apart. When you meet a loner who's spent time growing in silence, you'll feel it. There's a calm, steady energy around them. They don't need to prove anything because they've already earned their own respect. That kind of self-assured presence can't be faked. It's forged in solitude. They don't need to dominate a room to leave an impression. Their presence is felt in the way they listen, the way they move, and the calm they carry. There's an unspoken confidence in them that doesn't demand attention, but still gets it. Their silence makes others curious. People sense that there's more behind the calm exterior. It draws attention not with noise, but with mystery. While others try to be seen, loners are remembered for the things they never had to say out loud. Even without speaking, they influence their environment. Their emotional control, awareness, and focus subtly shift the energy around them. People feel more grounded in their presence. They bring peace, not pressure, and that's a rare gift. They're not easily forgotten. A brief encounter with someone who's truly comfortable in their own skin leaves a deeper mark than hours of loud presence. That's because their power comes from within, not from performance. You don't just hear them, you feel them. Their presence is powerful because it's real. No act, no mask, just raw authenticity shaped in silence. That's why people who once meet a true loner often remember them even if they never see them again. The quiet ones leave the loudest echoes. And so we arrive at the end of this journey into the quiet strength of those who walk alone. What did you discover today? Did anything challenge the way you see solitude or yourself? If you made it this far, you're not just watching, you're seeking, and that means you're part of something deeper. Let me know in the comments what resonated with you most. And if you're one of the few who stayed with me all the way here, write seductive wisdom below, so I know you're one of the real ones.